Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are pulling back the curtain on a technology that is, quite literally, changing our world. It's something you probably use dozens of times a day without even thinking about it. We're talking about machine learning.
So let's start with this idea. There's this invisible intelligence all around us. It's in the movies you watch, the routes you drive. It's learning your every move, predicting what you're going to want or do next. And it can feel like magic, but it's not. It's a multi-trillion-dollar industry built on one single revolutionary idea.
Just look at Amazon. You see that number? 35%. That's how much of their gigantic revenue comes from just recommending products. Think about that. Over a third of their money comes from a system that knows what you want to buy, sometimes even before you do. That is some serious predictive power.
And hey, it's not just Amazon, right? How does Netflix always seem to have the perfect show ready for your Friday night? How does Google Maps know about that traffic jam up ahead and find you a faster way? And how in the world does Uber decide to charge you double during rush hour? What's the secret sauce connecting all of these?
Well, the answer to all of that is machine learning. And what you've got to understand is that this represents a huge shift in how we tell computers what to do. It's less about giving them a strict set of orders and, well, it's more about letting them figure things out on their own.
Okay, so in traditional programming, a human, writes out all the rules, step by step. If this happens, then do that. You feed in some data, the program follows the rules, and boom, you get an answer. But machine learning, it flips that completely on its head. We give the machine a ton of data, and we also give it the answers. And then the machine has to work backward to figure out the rules for itself. The machine is literally writing its own program.
So here's the textbook definition. But really, at its heart, machine learning is all about building systems that can spot patterns and make smart decisions all by themselves. And the key phrase here is that they improve automatically. They get better with experience, without a human having to go in and rewrite the code for every new thing. So the big question is, how do they actually do it? How does a computer go from just a pile of raw data to making these incredibly intelligent predictions? Well, it usually happens in one of three main ways. First up, we've got what's called supervised learning. This is the most common one you'll see. It's where you give the machine a massive data set where everything is neatly labeled by humans. It's like you show it thousands of pictures labeled cat and thousands of pictures labeled not a cat, and eventually it learns to tell the difference. The best analogy for this is a teacher supervising a student. The student makes a guess, and the teacher is right there to say, "Yep, that's right," or "Nope, that's wrong, try again." The machine makes a prediction, it checks it against the label, the answer key, and it just keeps tweaking itself over and over until it gets it right.
But what happens if you don't have an answer key? That's where unsupervised learning comes into play. In this case, you basically just dump a whole lot of messy, unlabeled data on the machine and say, "Go figure it out. Find something interesting in there." It has to discover the hidden patterns all on its own.
Think about it like this. Imagine someone gives you a huge basket of mixed fruit. Even if you don't know the names of the fruits, you could start sorting them, right? You'd make a pile of the long yellow things and another pile of the small, round red things. That is exactly what an unsupervised algorithm does. It finds things with similar features and groups them together into clusters.
And finally, there's reinforcement learning. This one is all about learning by doing, through pure trial and error. You put a program, an agent, into an environment, kind of like a character in a video game, and it learns to reach a goal. If it does something that gets it closer to the goal, it gets a reward, like a point. If it does something wrong, it gets a penalty.
Honestly, this is exactly how a baby learns to walk. There's no instruction manual, right? It's all trial and error. The baby tries to stand up and falls down. That's a penalty. But then it tries again and manages to take one step. That's a huge reward. And over thousands of these little trials, the baby and the algorithm figures out the exact sequence of actions that gets the most rewards.
Okay, so you've got these three core methods: supervised, unsupervised, and reinforcement learning. These are the engines that are running behind the scenes of all those applications you use every single day.
So now we can connect all the dots. Those Amazon and Netflix recommendations, that's supervised learning. Google predicting traffic or Uber's surge pricing, also supervised learning, trained on tons of past data. And then you get to the really complex stuff, like self-driving cars, which use a crazy sophisticated mix of all these techniques just to navigate the real world.
Look, this isn't just some cool tech. It's a massive economic engine. But it makes you wonder, these ideas have been around for decades, so why is it all exploding right now?
Well, two things basically happened at once to create a perfect storm.
First, the absolute explosion of what we call big data. I mean, we are generating 2.5 quintillion bytes of data every single day. That's the fuel these models need. And second, we finally built computer hardware powerful enough to actually process all that fuel. More data plus more power, that's what ignited the AI boom we're all living through.
And the result of that boom? A market that's projected to generate nearly $4 trillion in business value. Just to put that in perspective, that is bigger than the entire economy of Germany. This isn't some little corner of the tech world anymore. This is a foundational technology for almost every industry out there.